technical
Blog
difficulties.
Talk Radio.
There we go.
Following ingredients include a look behind the scenes. Cook uncovered until hot. Add grooves to taste.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl.
The accident was over a year ago. A second woman has been elected president. The 12th planet has been named in the solar system. The last wild polar bear has died. I slept through it all. I was here for my waking. He called it a beginning. He said it was good. I think you may have thought that anything I did was good.
Welcome to Transition Radio with your host, Mark Angelo Cummings. A show for trans folks by trans folks, here to let your voice be heard.
Well, hello, and good evening. We started off with a little technical difficulty. Blog Talk Radio has these little glitches every now and then. The intro show is supposed to start automatically, and then sometimes it's happened a couple of times where it has not started. But that's okay. Things happen in life. I don't know if it's the weather. It's very, very windy here in the land of enchantment, Silver City, New Mexico, which I've been here since June now, and I guess I'm going to be here for quite a while. That's the plan, I guess. And, well, you know who I am. I'm Mark Angelo Cummings. I am your host, and this is Real Talk with Mark Angelo, talk that matters. You know, I believe that there's a lot of talk out there in the media, and people ramble all sorts of stuff, but do they really say things that matter? I may say things that you may not agree with, but there are things that need to be talked about. But before I talk about all these things that need to be talked about, I want to thank my sponsor, the Amazing Breast Form Store. They have everything you can imagine to enhance your feminizing need, your cross-dressing needs, your transgender needs. They have amazing breast forms, and they have an amazing story behind how they got started. And there is an interview on the website with the founder, or the son of the founder, and they're just doing an amazing job for transgender females. So visit their website, www.breastformstore.com, and tell them Mark Angelo from Transition Radio sent you. And while you're on the website, also check out Katie Leon. She's got several books that are great read, and there's also banners there that you could click, and it'll take you directly to her Amazon account. And while you're there on the website, there's a donate button. No too small is small. Every little bit helps, and I am very grateful for all of you that support the show. While you're there on the homepage, I know there's so much stuff there on transitionradio.net. You could check out the GoFundMe account of the month, and this month, I think today will probably be the last day for Mickey L's FDN transition. If you guys have a GoFund that you want me to place on the landing page, please feel free to shoot me an email to transitionradioshow@gmail.com, FTMMTF. Whether it's you need help with travels, you need help with your surgery, that is what this is all about. So you guys can get exposure and get some help, which I know we all need help at some point in our lives. Guys, at any time, feel free to call in at 646-716-6895. Again, that's 646-716-6895. Just to say hello, to ask a question, comment, whatever you like. This is your show, and I love when I get the interaction. So I've been reading a lot of crazy stuff on my newsfeed on Facebook. They're now considering feeding the homeless a crime. Sadly enough, it stems from my hometown, Fort Lauderdale. I can't believe that they're actually doing this. This is crazy to me. Since when is helping somebody is a crime? You know what, do they want them to die quicker? They think that if you don't feed them, the homeless will just stop being homeless? I also found out that you should actually pay for a permit in order to do this. So they're doing these things to make money, which is just about everything that is going on in our world today. Everything that is done to create some sort of revenue, whether it's for the government, for religious groups, for corporations, you name it. They're even now trying to make money on Facebook with Ebola. Like, you want to help stop spread Ebola, donate. I'm like, really, people, it's the problem so they could then find the solution, and the solution is always taking away some more of our freedoms or collect some of our cash, hard-earned money. The story reads, why did Fort Lauderdale police arrest an old man for feeding homeless people? I mean, that just, I read that and I was just like, this can't, is this a hoax? How can you be arrested for feeding someone, for helping someone? Last I heard, you get arrested for beating up somebody or for doing something terrible to somebody. Like the government should be arrested and corporations should be arrested for all the stuff that they do. But an old man, last Sunday, on November 2nd, 90-year-old Arnold Abbott and two pastors were charged, you heard right, by the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, the biggest crooks ever, with giving food to hungry people. How can these cops live with themselves? For Abbott's crime, he faces 60 days in jail and, not just 60 days, and a $500 fine. The criminal intends to feed hungry people again, and it's prepared, he says, to be arrested as many times as the city can cuff his frail wrist. Objectively, it seems sad and strange, but to Fort Lauderdale Mayor Jack Seiler, the ass wasn't supposed to be there. It was an open and shut case, and he wasn't afraid to say it. Of course not. He's got no fucking balls. Just because of media attention, we don't stop enforcing the law, he says. We enforce the laws here in Fort Lauderdale, Seiler told local news outlet WPLG very proudly. Scumbag. Jailing and harassing the homeless for living on the street is an old practice. But criminalizing actions that help these humans survive seems indicative of a new moral low ground. Naturally, Seiler frames the city position as the righteous one, providing the homeless with a meal and keeping them in the cycle on the street. He quotes, and he declares to the Sun Sentinel, is not productive. So what do you find productive, Mr. Jackass? Letting people die because if you don't feed them, what, you think they're going to go and get a job? I mean, half the individuals that are homeless either have some sort of disability, mental disability, or some form of physical disability, or they can't handle the crap that's being put out in our society, which is making more and more people homeless, more and more people losing their homes because of jackasses. And I'm sorry if I am continuing to use that type of wording, but what other words can you use to explain the ridiculous thing that this mayor is allowing to happen? I cannot believe that he absolutely thinks that if people stop feeding the homeless, the problem is going to go away. Well, yeah, they might die because they're not getting any nutrition, but you think that just because you stop people from helping people that they're just all of a sudden going to stop being homeless. Are you providing any kind of solution for the homeless people here, mister? Are you doing anything at all to prevent this tragedy from taking place? But the mayor's jousting over morality is a distraction. Many of us don't know that behind the curtain, there's always something. The rationale for Fort Lauderdale's ordinance has to do with land and money, nothing to do with homeless. And there's usually something behind things. These things just don't just happen, Big bucks, big corporations are the ones creating all these problems, and we are the blindest to it. We don't have a clue. Prisons and jails are a business. I sat through a seminar a few weeks back here in Silver City, and I was just totally floored by the kind of corruption that takes place. Because there is no mental institutions anymore, because there is no, financial ability for things of that nature, well, they're constantly putting individuals who are either schizophrenic, bipolar, they don't take their meds or whatever else in jail. And they get X amount of money for these individuals to be in jail. So they keep them there for not even committing a crime for a long period of time, up to 11 months. Okay? We are so not educated about what really is happening behind the curtains. We're too afraid. We're too engrossed in football games and in watching, Dance with the Stars and all the stuff that doesn't even remotely get us thinking that, hey, we've got to stop this. We've got to stop this madness one way or the other. Anyway, next topic. So as the hate grows and the crimes are climbing, the love affair with trans women grow, or should I say love-hate relationship. Lee T is a native of Brazil and one of the world's current favorites in the fashion modeling industry. She's most known as having been the muse of Da Vinci. She also is a pop culture icon, transgender advocacy in the LGBTQIA. Now there's 2 Q's in the alphabet. Wow. Community, anyway. Many ways Lee T rise to prominence in the modeling industry has been marked by a distinct degree of mystery and privacy on the part of the groundbreaking model. The basic facts are well known. Fit model and muse to Ricardo Gishi at Da Vinci, a berth in several of the House's runaway shows, as well as a slot in the FW10 campaign shot by Mert and Marcus. The memorable images in Vogue Paris. The most recently, the double slam of the Lovers cover. But who is the real woman behind the hype, spectacle, and press buzz? As Lee prepares to bring her story to the Oprah Winfrey Show, or the network, MBX caught up with her for this exclusive video, which is where I found this. I should actually put the link, where she talks about coming to Miss Winfrey's attention, her early days with Mr. Tiskey, the prejudice she has faced as transsexual, and her future dreams and goal. It is very interesting that at the same time that there's this total awe of transgender individuals, there's also this total disgust of transgender individuals, where we're being murdered, harassed, losing our jobs, losing our homes. But there are many that are making it big in Hollywood screen, modeling, and it's becoming more of a talked about situation in the media. And that is good in a sense, I guess, and it could also be a bad thing if you think about it. But, it is what it is. Next story. Jehovah's Witness leader preaches against tight pants, says gays are pushing them. I've heard it all. Anthony Morris III, a member of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, recently gave a sermon against tight pants. I have to interject here before I continue reading this. I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, and little did I know that it was a cult. It is a cult. And these people literally terrorize people Sunday mornings, knocking on their door, trying to preach and trying to sell their little Watchtower magazine. I was so embarrassed as a child when my grandmother would literally grab me and force me to go with her to these things, and I felt so bad. I could almost just sense that the people were going to be so angry, being woken up on their day off to tell them the good news and try to sell them their little Watchtower magazine. Anyway, I will read on. God hates them, he says. God hates them. I love how these individuals know what God's feelings are. They just know what God loves, what God hates, and what God wants us to do. Because God speaks to them every day in their bedroom. Schizophrenics that they are. And by the way, they're designed by homosexuals, he says. Tight pants were designed by homosexuals, according to this nut job. Anyway, Morris first warns the women by saying some of our sisters, what it is are their Spanx, the skin-tight stuff they wear when they exercise. Would you prefer they wear baggy clothes, mister? They leave their home and they're jogging in this stuff. I think he's just getting a hard on, and he's totally just doesn't know how to deal with this, so he's just hating on everybody. Look at the verse. Is that appropriate to wear skin-tight Spanx or whatever they call it? It's not modest, and it's certainly not sound of mind. No, what Sound of Mind is, what these individuals do. And oh gosh, okay, it's really not appropriate, he quotes. There's really nothing else to say about it, of course, because you don't know what you're saying. You're just an old man that is sexually frustrated, and you just have to create these rants. Now you want to be in your home or your room and wear that stuff. That's your business, but don't go out like that and say you worship the true God. So if you wear spandex, you can't worship true God. Yeah, because spandex is evil, and it just, it really, this is where the Bible stems from. A bunch of these old individuals back in the day that had issues with their sexuality, had issues with seeing women reveal themselves. So they created all these laws and all this stuff because they can't deal with their own doing stuff, you know what I mean? And then so they have to make everything about God. God hates this, and God doesn't like that, and God just really doesn't want you to wear spandex because, God has nothing else better to do than worry about who goes to bed with who and what you're wearing. And then he warns men, and the other ones that needs addressing is for these young fellas, he quotes, because the older ones aren't doing much of it, thankfully. That's because your body is kind of saggy, and I don't think you'd look too hot in a spandex mixture. And maybe this is what? Envy. So he goes, because the older ones aren't doing much of it, thankfully. It's the metrosexual look we addressed that in the past. I guess he must have addressed metrosexual people in his sermon as well. But what happens now is that it really caught on more. But he says what's happened now is that it's really caught on more. The tight suit jacket and the tight pants, better known as tight pants. Yes, mister. And they are tight all the way down to the ankles. It's not appropriate. It's not Sound of Mind. No, of course not. It's not appropriate. It's not Sound of Mind because you say so. And then, leaving his congregation in stitches, he goes after the gays. Okay, here we go. Another dig. That these homophobes who are actually hiding their own homosexual tendencies have to constantly have digs against homosexual. The homosexuals that are designing these clothes, they like you in tight pants. And more from our religious bunch. Oh boy. Retired Mennonite pastor loses credential after officiating gay son's wedding. Retired 96-year-old Mennonite pastor Chester Winger of East Lampeter Township found his credential dismissed on September 10th after the Lancaster Mennonites Conference discovered Winger's officiated his gay son's wedding on June 21st, reports Lancaster's Online. Pastor Winger addressed the church and his decision in an open letter to the Mennonites Church USA publication. Winger said, "My dear companion of 70 years and I declared our enduring love for Lancaster Mennonites Conference, for Mennonites Church, for the Crystal Church, and for all God's people. We carry no bitterness or regrets for our actions. Our hearts are filled with love for all. I know persons will accuse me for my transgression, but my act of love was done on behalf of the church I love, and my conscience is clear." I really don't understand what it is with these religious zealots constantly condemning everything and anything. I mean, what is it you're supposed to do? Just sit around all day praying? Waiting for Jesus to come? Which he hasn't been seen for over 2,000 years. And what did people do prior to Jesus? Because, the world is billions of years old. So, I'm lost for words half the time. Because, I respect everybody's religion. I respect everybody's beliefs. But when I read stuff like this, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way, because you want to believe what you want to believe. You go to church every Sunday, pray, do whatever, you're tithing, all that great stuff. Fantastic. More power to you. But when you try to pick on other people for wearing spandex, for attending your gay son's wedding, for associating with people that may have a different way of living than you do, then to me, that is the most hypocritical thing ever. Because you know what? The Bible has a lot of so-called rules. So the rules are you shouldn't be wearing two different types of fabric. I don't know why. Maybe there was a jealous man who saw somebody wearing two different types of fabric in the day, and they looked so good that he just like, no, we're not having this. You know, because I noticed that all these rules and regulations stems from somebody's own inner problem. It has nothing to do with what God says, because I really cannot picture a deity worrying about what kind of articles of clothing you wear, who you go to bed with, who you love. I mean, really. But yet, all these wars that we see and all this innocent killing of children and women, all for oil and poppy seeds and not poppy seeds, what's that drug? Yeah, I guess it's poppy seeds or whatever, opium, you know, not allowing somebody to feed the hungry. It just kind of makes you wonder what kind of hypocrisy, BS world we are living in. The sad thing is, every single one of you out there are allowing all this to take place. You're just sitting back doing absolutely nothing. And you're like, it's not my monkey, not my circus, and you're not even worried about it. Well, you know, you're just as much of a problem when you don't try to stop these problems, when you don't bring these problems to the forefront, talk about it, try to change things. Maybe if we all sat there and went, lived in Fort Lauderdale. I don't think they do stuff like that here in New Mexico. I mean, they feed the homeless all the time here, you know. But if we all gathered and brought food to the homeless, are they going to arrest all of us? I think someone really needs to picket in front of that Jack Mayor in Fort Lauderdale and give him a peace of mind. We need to stop this world from being destroyed by these corporate, money-hungry political heads that are just poo-pooing on humanity. It's time for us to rise up and stop being so self-centered and worried about all these materialistic things. You get up every morning on your alarm clock to go to work so you can pay bills and pay off things that you don't need. There are people that are going to bed hungry every night, cold. Yet we do absolutely nothing to change that. We just turn a blind eye and allow these cowards, okay, I was going to say another word, but I don't want to keep cussing on the radio, cowards, to continue to do what they do. They pretend to be godly men and they preach all sorts of stuff, but they've got a lot of skeletons in their closets. They're lying to you about many things. We all just sit there and take it. Very unfortunate thing. Now, guys, check out this Thursday show. And got Jameson Green. He is an amazing pioneer and advocate. He was the first guy I ever looked at his website when I was in the process of transitioning or wondering what it was to be an FTM, you know, since I was informed or asked if I was an FTM when I was a female bodybuilder in Key West with my then ex-wife Violet. And I came home and started doing the research, and Jameson Green popped up, and so did Jameson Knight. Those are the two websites I found. There was no YouTube at the time. So I'm very grateful to Jameson Green. I am very honored to have him on the show this Thursday. There's a change of time this Thursday because the producer, Joe, has something that he needs to do and needed to make the show 1 hour earlier. So this Thursday, it won't be at 8 p.m., but it will be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. and that's 5 p.m. Mountain Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, and 6 p.m. Central. Don't miss that show. You guys remember to subscribe to Gay Live Television so that you could watch the shows live and on demand. If not, you have to wait a while before I'm actually allowed to put them on YouTube and on the website. Please support Gay Live Television. They support us. They've been carrying the show for quite a while now, and it shows that we bring week after week with amazing interviews and amazing information. I want to take this time to thank all of you, my fans, my supporters, my friends, my families. Without you guys, I was almost going to call this quit, but can't keep this trans man on a mission shut, or you can't shut him up, for that sake. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to end the show with one of my originals, very acoustic, called Just Be. I wrote this back in 2009. It's a nice little tune, and it's got a beautiful message. Guys, remember, I love you, but always love yourselves, too. That is so important. Good night. Be well.
Flowers bloom and the sky welcomes the rain, and all we have to do, yes, all we have to do is be me and you, just me and you. A bird's a bird, a tree's a tree, they have no plans, they're just being free. Why can't you and I learn from our mistakes and learn to realize and just be? Just be, oh, just be. That's the lesson here that'll set us free. Just be. Every night, and it shows in my dreams. And will I ever learn? Yes, will I ever learn to be free and just be? A bird's a bird, a tree's a tree. They have no plans, they're just being free. Why can't you and I learn from our mistakes and learn to realize and just be? Just be, la la la, just be. That's the lesson here that'll set us free. Just be. Had many troubles, but they were all meant to be, and I have learned them well. Yes, I have learned them well. The lessons of my life are part of me.